Coinbase's venture arm will boost earnings in coming year. We're bullish on stablecoins, next-gen DeFi. Coinbase Ventures, the corporate venture capital arm of Coinbase, was founded in 2018. It invests in early-stage companies in the cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Web3 sectors.
How did you get into Web3 and why?
Roughly, I would say 2016, 2017. If you recall, there was a lot of energy and excitement around blockchain.
Yeah,
and
Ethereum. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Ethereum being like, the first like smart contract, platform that was available. And so the enterprises at the time were really looking at several kind of enterprise and blockchain use cases. And so that's kind of how like I learned about crypto, kind of exploring what could be possible. Crypto for the last decade, we've certainly evolved from just being a speculative asset class to now building fundamental internet native infrastructure. Take a step back, Coinbase Ventures, we back the most ambitious builders, right, that are helping to shape that on-chain economy. And right now, I would say that most of that innovation is actually happening within the stablecoin sector. And for 2 years, I actually used to live in India when I was working in the oil and gas sector. So I lived down in Pune, India. I was building out like a kind of a digital innovation center. And so fast forward to now, you see Coinbase is making inroads within the India market. We're building products. We have USDC as our native stablecoin, and as well as other commerce and payments products. But, we ultimately believe that, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Your prospect, your way of looking at AI-based tokens, AI-based coins and startups. Is there anything you can kind of, help us?
Yeah, sure. So I will say that, Coinbase Ventures, we're making a very intentional push to invest at the intersection of crypto AI. And that's because we believe that, blockchain technology will be the foundational infrastructure to power this future AI agent economy.
Oh, wow. Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Voice of Web3, powered by Coinbase. A lot happening in the crypto world this week, and everybody here is to make money, right? Money speaks. So today we have a very special guest for you. He has been in the trenches within crypto. He knows what is going into crypto. He's one of the best voices when it comes to discussing regulations, discussing VC fundings, discussing startups, discussing new ideas in crypto. And that's where the real jackpot is, right? So guys, join me and welcome Jonathan King from Coinbase Ventures. He will be joining today and he will be giving us insights when it comes to what is going in the crypto market these days. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
I guess you're called JK, right?
Yes, I go by JK. So all of our friends call me JK. So yeah, you can call me JK. That's fine.
Our audience is gonna call you JK from today onwards.
Cool.
So JK, I mean, most of our audience is very new in crypto when it comes to understanding the basics of funding, basics of financing world. And most of these are folks who are actually at an intermediate state as well. They are right now at a decision-making stage. Is Web3 something for us or not? So that's kind of the audience we have. And it's always kind of good to know that how people actually got started in crypto, how you got into crypto, what was your motivation. So this is from where we are going to start, JK. So how did you get into Web3 and why?
Yeah, so for me, my background has always been, kind of product and engineering. Before Coinbase Ventures, I used to work at Microsoft. And then prior to that, I was actually in the energy industry working in oil and gas. And so roughly, I would say 2016, 2017, if you recall, there was a lot of energy and excitement around blockchain.
Yeah,
and
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Ethereum being like, the first like smart contract, platform that was available. And so the enterprises at the time were really looking at several kind of enterprise and blockchain use cases. And so that's kind of how like I learned about crypto, kind of exploring what could be possible. Of course, there was not much that was possible at that time. Not if you look into where we have today in terms of like L2s and very robust infrastructure. But that was like the early ideation stage for me. And then I think like once I kind of like learned a little bit, socialized with, several emerging kind of key players within the ecosystem, I was hooked from then, and always had aspirations to kind of pivot out of product into the venture capital space, and was fortunate to join Coinbase Ventures in the spring of 2022.
Oh, wow. I mean, that was a very wild time, to be frank. I mean, ICOs raising millions within like few hours. I remember one of the ICOs, Ethereum. It was a pretty oversubscribed, as we call it in the financing world. So, JK, I mean, if I were to understand, or the audience were to understand that, what is your thesis behind? How do you see these projects? How do you select them? Can you just give us a glimpse into your mind that, okay, this is what I look into when I'm actually looking at a pitch deck, or this is what I look into when I'm actually profiling a Web3 project for funding?
Yeah, I think for me, right, this key thesis around crypto for the last decade, we've certainly evolved from just being a speculative asset class to now building fundamental internet native infrastructure, right, and utility driven infrastructure. And so that key phrase in terms of being utility driven, that's like a key component that I tend to look for when I'm evaluating potential projects for investment. Of course, we want to see founders that demonstrate hustle and grit, right? And they are missionary aligned, they are exceptional, and they share Coinbase's mission of kind of increasing economic freedom in the world and growing the on-chain economy. And so founders that have that type of missions are like the type of founders that we like to back. And then you kind of complement that with founders that can communicate a strong narrative. And of course, we talk to a lot of technical founders, but being able to balance like the technical innovation with the long-term value capture, value accrual. How do you think about go to market, and what's going to set you apart from the other players in the space? And so those are typically like the three things that we tend to look for when we're looking to make investments in the space.
And if we were to, let's say, check out a few of the trends that you're actively looking into right now, what will be those?
Yeah, well, see, if I just take a step back, Coinbase Ventures, we back the most ambitious builders, right, that are helping to shape that on-chain economy. And right now, I would say that most of that innovation is actually happening within the stablecoin sector. And so, stablecoins as like a digital dollar in a sense, right, or a digital currency in emerging markets. And so we're very bullish on the stablecoin sector for a few reasons. One, the stablecoin market cap is up 50% year over year. It reached $250 billion. We're expecting that to grow to a $2 trillion asset class in the next few years. We're seeing a plethora of different use cases, everything ranging from B2B cross-border payments to peer-to-peer payments and localized stablecoins in emerging markets, and then using stablecoins as programmable money in like this kind of age of AI, for example. So overall, we're very excited. I think, long-term, and probably not even long-term, probably in the not so distant future, I think, stablecoins are going to be so deeply woven into everyday commerce and payment flows that most people won't even know that they're using stablecoins under the hood. So that's a sector that we're really excited about, and we continue to invest very broadly into the stablecoin ecosystem.
I mean, I was recently in Kenya, and it was a hustle, to kind of exchange money. When you go there, you want to convert your dollars, or let's say AED to some other currency. But the way people were actually already empowered with this stablecoin thing when it comes to USDT or USDC, it was such amazing to see. I mean, I could see in front of me somebody accepting money sitting right there in Kenya, Nairobi, and some other person sitting in Dubai. So, I mean, the impact is real. The stablecoin seems to be definitely one of the best use cases crypto has given us so far. And I wish that it reaches more and more unbanked societies and communities in the coming days, because it just, gets away the middleman from the equation. So yeah, so great to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And like, funny enough, I guess part of the origin story is some lore. So, for 2 years, I actually used to live in India when I was working in the oil and gas sector. So I
Wow.
lived down in Pune, India. I was building out like a kind of a digital innovation center. And so, fast forward to now, you of course, you see Coinbase is making inroads within the India market. We're building products. We have USDC as our native stablecoin, as well as other commerce and payments products. But we
Mhm.
ultimately believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. So very excited that to invest within the India region. We made one investment to a company called P2P.me that essentially is allowing users to get access to stable coins, right, and effortlessly
Mhm.
make payments on the spot. So it's a very exciting time, and like I said, it's just overall like very bullish on the growth prospects for stable coins, especially bringing it to those
Mhm.
emerging markets.
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to touch upon few of the, let's say, buzzing trends that have caught the eye of investors. And when I say investors, it's always about retail investors, because me myself, a retail trader, I can call it retail investor. We tend to be very FOMO based investing. We are not used to, let's say, kind of doing the due diligence when it comes to everything. So meme coins. So for example, new coins coming up in the market, they definitely get the eye of everybody. But if I were to understand your prospect, your way of looking at AI based tokens, AI based coins and startups, is there anything you can kind of help us to understand there, that okay, this is what kind of use cases in AI that actually makes sense for crypto?
Yeah, sure. So I will say that, Coinbase Ventures, we're making a very intentional push to invest at the intersection of crypto AI. And that's because we believe that,
Mhm.
blockchain technology will be the foundational infrastructure to power this future AI agent economy. And so there's a couple of different use cases that we're starting to see. And I kind of like bucketize those use cases into two different segments, but interrelated. One being decentralization of the AI stack. So using, blockchain technologies properties around decentralization, transparency, and verifiability, as well
Mhm.
as ownership to essentially democratize access to things around data, models, compute. So that way builders can, effectively build out these next generation of AI systems. The second part of the equation is essentially what we call on-chain AI, and that is bringing AI into crypto. And so that's things where now you have, DeFi protocols that are powered by a natural language interface. So you can say, you know, buy ETH at this price point and deposit it into this protocol to start earning yield. Or you can have agents. So we invested into a company called Giza,
Mhm.
which essentially is like allowing an AI agent to manage your money, manage your stable coins, right? It will move your stable coins to different DeFi protocols based on the yield rates in real time, right? As the market dynamics change. So it's a very exciting sector, right? And both like Coinbase is building product suites here, right? We have our X402 protocol that enables agents to
Mhm.
make payments using stable coins. We have agent kits, so now agents can now have self custody wallets and they can custody different assets. And then likewise, we're investing across both decentralized and on-chain AI companies to really push like these two sectors forward collectively.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't see the next generation coming up and bothering about these things. I mean, the way we actually struggle when it comes to sending money to somebody in some other country, and especially if that country is, let's say, a developing nation, then you're gonna face more challenges, more fees, more transaction hassles there. But I'm sure in the coming generations, people won't even ask us what a bank is.
Yeah, it's very funny, right? I mean, like, AI agents, it's, they're helping to unlock new forms of automation. I
Mm,
had the pleasure to attend the AI4 conference. It's like the largest North America AI conference. And, there was a lot of talks about, how generative AI and AI agents are being used to transform the banking and financial services sector, right? People
mm,
are becoming more accustomed to typing out or speaking to these chatbots to describe their intent when it comes to
mhm,
financial transactions. And similarly, I
mhm.
think like blockchain technology will just make those type of use cases more robust over time.
So you mentioned one of the use cases as being bringing on chain to more and more real world use cases. I mean, typically, if you ask about a retail investor or somebody new to crypto, they find it really hard that what is there in the on-chain economy that we can't see. It is just about broadcasting data. It is just about providing a decentralized database. Okay, that's fine. But how does it actually, build an economy around it? Can you just throw some light on it that, okay, this is what on-chain can do to the real world that is not available today?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different use cases, right? So one being if I stick with the kind of like AI, crypto AI intersection, right? So right now, if you think about like LLMs, the Chat GPTs, the Geminis, Anthropics of the world, they have to train on an abundance of publicly available data,
Right.
right? And
Mhm.
so we're almost to the point where we're reaching the ceiling of like how much public data is available. And so the next step is that they will negotiate agreements with enterprises to get access to user data, but the users are left out of that equation. So,
Mhm.
we invested into this company called Vana Network, which essentially is like incentivizing users to provide their data for like training these LLMs or building AI agents, and they receive rewards from the network. And so,
Mhm.
that's the great use cases of like you're seeing like these mini economies being built across crypto, across AI, where we're essentially putting users at the center of the equation, right? We're empowering users, they own their data, and we think that their data is valuable. Other use cases could include things such as, decentralized
Mhm.
social networks, right? Again, consistent with the theme of ownership, right? Users
Mhm.
own their data, they're posting content, that content can be tokenized, and they're earning rewards from, their fans and engagement with that content. And so, we're kind of seeing like these emerging models where you can use these on-chain rails, you can use payments and things around stablecoins to really build like these very unique economies that put users at the center.
Yeah. So Base is definitely coming up. I mean, first of all, congratulations to the whole Coinbase team that
Thank you.
the way Base has actually grown in the past few months. And I would like to know you from your side that, okay, so I understand one of the best way to build on Base is to just build on it, right? Just get into it and explore your use cases, explore your ideas, and get into it, right? Just right, you will build on Ethereum or some other Bitcoin, right? Blockchain. But is there anything that your team at Coinbase Ventures is looking out for particular ideas that, okay, this is what Base is made for? Or if in case if some founder or a builder is out there building something and they're exploring right now their options when it comes to choosing a blockchain, choosing a network ecosystem, then is there any particular thing you have in mind?
Yeah, so we're very pleased. I think back in 2023, we launched the Base Ecosystem Fund, which essentially is investment capital still managed by the Coinbase Ventures team, but purpose built for base builders. So if you're building, within the on-chain economy, you're planning to bring something unique, different
Mhm.
to base, we would love to get in touch, right? We have that vehicle for a reason, and a similar kind of rationale in terms of like the types of founders that we're backing being mission aligned, right? We want to
Mhm.
support the dreamers and doers across the entire ecosystem, but we have that capital for the for base builders. And then, if you just look across any major blockchain ecosystem, Coinbase Ventures is there. We're always open for business. There's probably not a major ecosystem where we don't have an investment. But yeah, very excited and encouraged by the growth of Base. I would encourage this audience, go check out the Base app. That is the easiest way for you to kind of engage and participate on chain. You can deposit stable coins into different protocols and begin earning yield. You can interact with different mini applications. You can talk to AI agents to order pizza within the Base app using stables. So, it's very exciting. We're encouraged by the growth of Base and its prospects long term.
Yeah, I mean, Base definitely is coming up as a highly chosen. So, for example, I was discussing with somebody in UAE, and Base is kind of become a topic of discussion now itself, because and of course, the name and the trust of Coinbase brand, no doubt about that. Coinbase is definitely one of those brands who have been compliant from day one, who has been spearheading this whole debate of regulation when it comes to US and the global space. So, I mean, with that in mind, I think Base is definitely catching up now. And the recent projects we are seeing, they definitely mean business. So, JK, I mean, we touched upon AI a bit, and there is one more narrative we cannot miss, and that is RWA. So, I mean, because I have considered a few projects myself, and I see a lot of I would say that again, just like I see or any new trend in crypto, there is so much of hype around it, and I would like to know what kind of progress you're seeing at your end. Are there any startups that you particularly kind of financed, and now you're seeing them really having that market cap? So, what is the progress story at your side when it comes to RWA?
Yeah, I would honestly say like RWAs is, it's kind of like an extension of what we're seeing in like the stablecoin sector, right? Where you
Mhm.
now want to see like kind of like crypto being embedded into traditional finance rails, right? And so what
Mhm.
I mean by that is that one of the most exciting topics for RWAs is, tokenized equities, right? And like
Tokenize
how
everything.
yeah, tokenized equities, right? And how do you kind of allow users,
Yeah.
democratizing access for users to, participate in the US stock market, right? And I think we're going to see broad adoption globally, but also within the US, because now if you think about like the composability of tokenized equities and being able to, lend, let's say, your tokenized NVIDIA or tokenized coin stock and being able to borrow, right, additional stable coins or USDC against that position, I think those are going to open up like a variety of different use cases. So we're very excited about, things we're seeing about in RWAs. Other use cases could be things around accessing private credit entirely on chain. We invested into a company called Rain that is, issuing credit using
Yeah,
US.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so that is one. We've seen companies that's doing insurance, right? Reinsurance on chain. So bringing those policies on chain, a company called Re.xyz. So very encouraged by RWAs, and
Mhm.
I think it's going to be further lifted up as we see like more progress in terms of like stablecoin adoption and just like democratizing access to these financial primitives at large.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the heated discussions right now for RW would be that how do you classify something as a security and non-security? And I'm seeing a lot of people actually tokenizing the income part, the
Mhm.
economic part of the RWAs, and not getting into the ownership itself. How far do you think we are from there actually? I mean, where
Well,
actually we can tokenize the ownership part.
yeah, so I think there's going to continue to be like varying models, right, to figuring out like the approach to tokenized equities. Some of it is just like, just being very thoughtful around the design approach and geographies that you can offer these new type of assets. Some of it will be dependent on, some of like the regulatory discussions that are happening. So, we have the Genius Act that was passed for stablecoins. We're very encouraged by the momentum that's happening here in the U.S. around the market structure bill. So I think as like we kind of get some of these clearer regulatory guidelines, then we'll start converging on what will be like the go forward design for tokenized equities. Coinbase is investing a ton in the space. You've probably heard Brian Armstrong talk about our everything exchange, kind of mission in terms of like bringing all assets on chain. And so I think like I said, we're very encouraged by the momentum and progress that we're seeing, and we're also very pleased with the different design approaches that we're seeing for tokenizing equities.
Yeah. So uh, the funding part, when it comes to funding a startup, when it comes to selecting a startup from I'm sure you get thousands of applications each week. But I would like from your side that I heard about something called Eco, which I think is there. So I would like to know that how it is built, how it is helping founders, and how somebody can kind of use it to reach out to you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Echo. So we happen to launch a base ecosystem group on the Echo platform, and essentially, what Echo does, it allows any kind of groups to syndicate deals. Right. You can think about this in a traditional sense of like angel investments or
Angel invest. Yeah,
list.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, like an angel list, et cetera. But in this case, Echo is entirely on chain, built on top of Base. And so, when we are investing into, let's say, a company that is building on Base through our Base ecosystem fund, we allow the founders to decide, like, hey, would you like to raise from the community, right? We have this Base
Oh.
ecosystem group of 3,000 plus users,
Mhm.
and you're essentially just democratizing access, right, for what
Mhm.
used to be, kind of like this private held, like you had to be in the know to get access to some of these kind of like private deals, whether that's private equity or in this case, Coinbase and in the venture capital side. And now we have this new on-chain solution for democratizing that access and allowing the community, your most engaged users, to participate and capture some of the upside for your intended growth. So very excited about that as an emerging model, and we of course are going to see more founders like pursue fundraisers through these kind of like community on-chain raised platforms.
I mean, this is very interesting. I mean, I don't know a lot of people know about this, and we are surely gonna leave a link or something on this show later on that people can kind of reach, because this is amazing. I mean, getting exclusive access, getting the timely information in crypto is everything. And if retail investors have a hands on it, I mean, that's brilliant. That's just brilliant.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's a relatively new model, but we're very excited. We're pleased with the results. The deals that we have posted there have had strong performance, and so we're going to continue to encourage founders, if they choose to. They have that option, like I said, to be able to raise directly from their community members.
Yeah. So JK, regulation and regulatory environment is definitely one of the ongoing debates in crypto, and we have seen this year particularly a lot of improvement in it after Mr. President Trump being selected there, and he has been just all about crypto since then. So definitely we all are enjoying our time, but there are ifs and buts when it comes to crypto, when it comes to the selection of these particular models which are being utilized and which are going to be sidelined. So in terms of the regulations, what is your message to founders who are building on chain today or building in Web3 today? I mean, are there any particular areas which you are looking up to that, okay, this is what I think is going to open up blow up in the next few months or years?
Yeah, I think, like, to sum it all up, right, one of the things that we've always heard from founders is, of course, there was like frustration over like the past few years, given like this ambiguous like regulatory environment. Now we've had like a change in administration and we're starting to push for like very pro crypto legislation. I mentioned the Genius Act for stablecoins that was passed. We're seeing good progress around like the market structure bill that's sitting in the U.S. House at this moment. Ultimately, like, when I think about like regulation, it's balancing like regulation and innovation together, right? And ultimately, like, founders just want clear rules of the road. They don't want roadblocks, right? They want to understand what are the guidelines, what are the structures, so that way they can continue to build and shape the on-chain economy. But overall, I think very positive in terms of like the momentum that we're seeing on the regulatory front. And I think the founders are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, right, in terms of like what they can build on chain.
Yeah. So JK, I mean, we thanks a lot. First of all, we know that you have very limited time today, and you still made it here. You still made it for our audience and community. This is just amazing. So first of all, thanks from my side, from my team, and all the people who are hearing you. And just as a last piece of advice, what advice you as a venture capitalist have for me as a founder, for others who are building in crypto?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the missionary focus, right? Be here for the long term, right? We want to build with you. We want to support you. Our goal is, like I said, we want to increase economic freedom in the world, and we want to help bring more users on chain and help grow this on-chain economy. So if that sounds like something that is very fun and exciting for you, then please get in touch. We'd love to, speak with you and see, what we can do from there.
Thanks, JK. Thanks for making it today. And I really hope a lot of people got something new to know today. They definitely learn a lot about on-chain. They got to learn about Echo. They got to learn how easily they can reach out to you guys. I'm sure there should be a flood of more applications. I'm just adding to your work.
Bring it on.